Yeah, see, I'm not like that Potter kid. I've never been to Hogwarts. I'm not formally trained in the art of prestidigitation. I can't conjure up any spells, can't whip up any potions. As a matter of fact, when you watch my show, you'll notice I don't even use a magic wand. In fact, I think they're a little bit dangerous. You've seen what happened to that Potter kid. Which might lead you to ask, just how in the world did I ever become a magician? See, it was kind of by accident. When I was probably about your age, I had my very first job in front of the house. I'd opened up a lemonade stand. Of course, my friends were real quick to point out that I'd never be successful because you see my sign. It had a hole in it. What they didn't realize was just how important that hole was, because you see inside that hole is where I had my lemons. Yeah, the nice part about the hole is that when the lemon is inside the hole, you can't see it. It's not until you take the lemon out that it becomes visible. Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you look at the sign from the front or from the back. All you see is that it says lemonade. It's not until you reach inside the hole that you can actually get a lemon. Of course, I wasn't in the business to sell lemons. No, I was in the business to sell lemonade. But what a lot of people don't realize is that while a lemon fits just fine inside the hole, well, lemonade is a completely different story. And there's nothing more refreshing on a hot day than a glass of ice cold lemonade. Of course, there will be those who tell you that they don't like plain lemonade. And there's a lot of people that just don't like plain lemonade, which is a good thing I was a Boy Scout. You see, I learned to come prepared. See, some people just like pink lemonade. But my pink lemonade, I keep inside my... Yes, inside my shoe.
What? That makes no sense.
Now, I can tell right now, I can see I'm going to have to go over some rules of the show. See, the most important rule is that you don't interrupt the magician while he's talking. That's number one. Because you never know when the magician might actually decide to do some magic that you don't like. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not going to go there. The next most important rule is that if you see some magic that you like, it's important that you clap and cheer. Anybody here know how to clap and cheer?
No, I'm not feeling.
We better give it a test run. I'm going to count to 3, and I need everybody to clap and cheer. All right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Woo! They almost sound like Laker fans. That's okay. That's okay. The next most important rule is that if you see something that you don't like, just revert back to the previous rule and clap and cheer anyway. Of course, the most important rule of all is to make sure that you have a good time. Now, I'm going to need a volunteer for my next trick. Actually, would you help me out? Jack, could you come over here, please? Of course, you got to turn around. And what's your name?
Zachary.
Zachary? Get below him. No, it's okay. Now, Zachary, before I continue on the show, there's something I'm going to need if you don't mind. I think I'm wrong, man. Yeah, no, watch. See, it turns invisible. Okay, it doesn't turn invisible, but it goes inside my pocket. Yeah, can you hold your hand out like this? Maybe the clean hand. Okay, it'll do. All right, yeah. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put the ball inside your hand. Hold it tight. Hold it tight. Don't let go. You got it? You got it? Hold it just like that. No way I can sneak that ball out of your hand without you feeling it. Unless I use magic. No, I don't need to do that. Just so happens in this particular instance I got an extra ball. And watch what happens when I wave my hand over the top of your hand. Can you feel the magic take place?
No.
Now would be the one time in life that you want to lie. No. Take a look.
It's done.
Take a look.
Open your hand.
Would you like to see how to do that? How to do that trick? So, well, here's the trick. You start off with one ball inside your pocket. Actually, you start off with two balls inside your pocket. Of course, you always have to have the extra ball, but you keep that one inside your pocket.
Whoa.
Look, I'm just going to keep going until you start clapping, all right? I keep going anyway. Actually, here's the secret. You see, if you take the ball and you do just a little twist, it turns into two. A nice round of applause for my assistant, Zachary. Zachary, can you
I'm
have
going
a
to
seat?
be next.
Of course, the real problem is getting them all out of my pocket. Now, just so as a magician, I get asked a lot about what was the very first trick that I ever saw, and it just happens for me it was something that was shown to me by my father. Now, he wasn't a magician, but he had this one trick that he would show me whenever I didn't want to do my chores. Do you ever have to do chores? Oh, yeah. See, my dad would have showed you this trick. That's for sure. Now, the trick was kind of unusual because, well, it didn't use the envelope. It just used 4 playing cards, and they were very unusual because, well, they were a lot bigger than regular cards. And well, one of them was a red jack, and 3 of them were black 3s. And the way it worked was kind of like hide and seek. You see, in the fall, it was my job to rake the leaves. And because I didn't want to do it, my daddy would take out the cards, he'd take the jack of hearts, he'd turn it over, and he'd place it on the far side of the room. And then he would show me the 3 remaining cards. But he would try to confuse me by taking one of them and reversing it. And he would say, Mark, because, as you pointed out, that's my name. If you don't want to rake the leaves, all you got to do is tell me where that red jack is hiding.
Well, I was help.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I thought he was trying to rake me in, but I wasn't willing to leave it alone. So I told him I wanted to see the card that he turned over in his hand. He said, son, that's a black 3. Well, luckily for me, he gave me a second chance. With the second chance, I knew where the red jack was hiding, until my dad snapped his fingers and said, I'm sorry, son, this is the red jack. Over here we have a black 3.
Oh, no.
Now, I had no idea how this trick worked, and in fact, the only thing I really needed to worry about was doing my chores until it was winter. And in the winter, it was my job to shovel the snow, which was really kind of strange because, you see, I actually grew up in Los Angeles and we didn't have any snow. Unfortunately for me, my dad was from Detroit. Yeah. And because I didn't want to shovel the snow, my daddy would take out the cards, he'd take the jack of hearts, he'd turn it over, he'd place it on the far side of the room, at which point I started to get suspicious. And that's when my dad decided to take things one step further. And he showed me not only the faces of the 3 cards, but then he also showed me the backs of all 3. And one more time, in an attempt to confuse me, he took one of them and he turned it over. And he said, Mark, because that's my name. Yeah. If you can tell me where that red jack is hiding, you don't have to worry about shoveling the snow. Well, I got to tell you, after the snow job, I got back in the fall, I felt like a complete flake. Yeah. This time I wasn't willing to be left out in the cold. You get my drift? Yeah, I know, it's pretty boring. I know. That's why I told my dad I want to see the card that he turned over in his hand. He said, "I'm sorry, son, that's a 3." Well, luckily for me, he was a fair man. He was willing to give me a second chance. And with the second chance, I knew where the red jack was hiding until my dad snapped his fingers, and once again, you see, the red jack was right here. And on the far side of the room was the black 3. Again, I had no idea as to how the trick worked, and it didn't really matter. The only thing I had to worry about was my friends watching me shovel snow that wasn't really there. Until the springtime when it was my job to mow the yard, and I got to tell you, my dad, he took out the cards, and I started getting really scared, really nervous. See, I didn't think I could take any mower. It doesn't get any better. It doesn't get any better in the morning, you know. And when my dad turned that... Well, I didn't normally speak to my dad in that tone of voice. Just so I was, well, Buster was his name. Besides, I knew he was cheating. You see, I knew he didn't turn one card face down. He'd actually turned 2 cards face down. But my dad, he was a fair man. See, he took the 2 face-up cards. He placed them on the far side of the room where I could keep my eye on them, and he began to shuffle the 2 remaining cards. All I had to do was tell him which one was the red jack. I told him it was the one on the left. He said, "I'm sorry, son." At which point, I said, "Ha! I got you this time." I meant the one that was left behind. You see, I thought I finally outsmarted my dad until he showed me that too was a black 3. Which led me to believe that my dad was never really playing with a full deck. And I always kind of wondered just what ever happened to the red jack. Until many years later, I discovered that my dad just liked to hide it inside the envelope. Well, for safekeeping. And that was the first trick that I ever saw. Now, would you like to learn how to do a trick? Would you like to learn how to... No, you don't. You're not going to get up. Just stay right where you're at. Stay right where you're at. Actually, we don't do this anymore. Toss this back quick. Okay. Let's see how this goes.
Vanishing bandana.
Hello, magician, and thank you for placing this order with the Atlas Magic Company. We hope you enjoy your mail-order magic trick lesson. This lesson is called The Mystery of the Vanishing Bandana. For this trick, you will need to get 2 props. One is a square of darkly colored fabric, and the other is a yellow bandana. First, pick up the bandana. Now fold the bandana in half. That's right, fold it in half. Now fold it one more time. Take the folded bandana and hide it in your left hand with the palm facing down. Remember to keep your hand in a natural position. You have just learned palming. That's what this move is called. Now we are ready to begin. Open up the folded bandana and show the audience it's just a regular bandana by waving it up and down. If someone in the audience does not believe it is a real bandana, allow them to wipe their face on it. Now place the bandana temporarily on the table and pick up the dark square fabric. and gather the four corners together, making what looks like a little bag. Using your left hand, now pick up the bandana from the table and fold it along the creases you made earlier. Now drop the bandana into the folds of the makeshift bag. From the outside of the makeshift bag, squeeze the bandana into a small little ball. Go ahead, squeeze it hard. What the audience did not see is that you never really put the bandana in the fabric at all. You really kept it hidden in your left hand. Remember palming? Again, remember to keep your left hand held naturally. Now make a magical gesture. And for your grand finale, open the fabric, showing the bandana has vanished, and receive your well-deserved applause. Remember, we magicians never tell our tricks.
Tell us.
A little useful magic information there for you. Okay, does anybody here have a magic kit at home? Do you have a magic kit?
No.
Okay, would you come up and help me? What's your name?
Spencer?
Is that your stage name? The Amazing Spencer? Come on, Spencer, come on up here. Face the audience. A nice round of applause for Spencer. Now, I want you to notice that I have some little colored pieces of cloth. Here, hold your hand out like so, and hold the red one. Very good. You can wave it back and forth if you want. You don't need to. Heck, it looks kind of strange after a while. Don't do that on a street corner. A blue one. Hold the blue one out with your other hand. Don't want to get confused. And then we have the other. And then with your other hand, hold the. Hold. You're missing a hand. Okay, you know what? Hold on here. Let me have the red one. You take the yellow one. Very good, very good. Now, in all the magic kits, they have a little red piece of cloth, just like this. And here's what they have you do. They have you take it, and they have you stick it inside your hand, just like so, into a nice little ball. Okay? And then wave the blue one over the top, and say the magic words. No. Repeat after me. Hocus pocus. Chicken bones choke us. So you laugh until you see that it disappears. It doesn't really disappear. You see right here inside the blue one, there's a trap door. Oh, yeah. And inside the trap door.
Oh.
Here, watch. We'll do it with the yellow one. We'll stick the yellow one inside the blue one. Just like so. Wave your hand over the top. Say the magic words.
Hocus pocus, chicken bone, choke us.
Very good. So here's the key.
It's in your sleeve.
It's not in the trap door. Actually, no, it's not in my sleeve. Actually, here, you better hold on to this one. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to need to have something back if you don't mind. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Is that the old, yeah, that's the only one you have, thank you. A nice round of applause for Spencer the Amazing.
Did you end up your sleep the whole time?
No, I couldn't think it.
How would you like to see a real card trick? That's a shame, because this is actually a rope trick. But it's like a card trick. Okay, it's not really like a card trick at all. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not ordinary rope. This is magician's rope. It's like ordinary rope, but it's made for magicians. Actually made in Japan, imported all over. That's true. The one difference is that the ends are hard. That's because they've been dipped in glue. And we magicians do that for the same reason we wear shoes. Well, otherwise the ends will fray. Yeah. Now, like I said, it's like an ordinary piece of rope. You see, it has a beginning. It has an end. It has the place where they meet. We call that the middle. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
Because it can become a little bit confusing. I'll show you why. See, here's what we do. We take the end of the rope, we wrap it around the beginning, we wrap the beginning around the end. You know what we call that?
Tie knot.
A square knot. But it doesn't really matter. There's no magic that happens there. All the magic happens right here in the middle. Would you come on up and help me? Stand right here. What's your name? Hayden? Hayden, if you would take the magical scissors. You can bring the magical scissors. Well, folks, it's been awfully fun. Show's over. Now, Hayden, here's what I need you to do. I need you to take your fingers just like so. You got to stand up straight, though. That looks weird. Yeah, stand up and make a snipping motion. Now, there's two things that happen when you do this. One is they think we look foolish. The other one is you would cut the rope. No, you're going to have to do better than that. It's a thick rope. Yeah, very good. Thank you. And you'll see that no longer do we have a piece of rope. Oh, we now have two pieces of rope. One of them really long, one of them really short. Although there are people who argue that this one is the actual one that's really short and this is the one that's really long. But I think you folks know better. You know that this is the short rope and this is the long rope. Now, see, we have one that's long, one that's short. But they're almost identical in every way. In fact, I could swap the beginnings with the ends and you can't tell the difference. The only difference is the middle of the rope. Well, unless, of course, you have not one, but two identical pieces. You know what? It's awfully fun illusion. What do you say we do it all over again?
Yes.
You want to do it all over? Of course, to do it all over again, you need to have just a single piece of rope that has nothing more than, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah. Here's what we're going to do. Wow. We're going to do it again. This time, I'm going to cut the rope. See, I brought my own scissors. You just tell me where to cut the rope, Hayden.
Right there.
Right there? I'll give a little cut right where Hayden requested. And again, you'll see we've got a really long piece of rope. We've got a really short piece of rope. Because it's so confusing, I just tell people that's an ordinary piece of rope that has nothing more than, well, a beginning and then the place where they meet. Look, I'll tell you what. There's so many moving parts. The beginning, the end, the middle. You hold on to the beginning, the end. I'll hold on to the middle. And we better put these back on. I think that's illegal in most states. If you would, go ahead and blow on it for me, please. Thank you, garlic, my friends. It does wonders. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take the beginning and the end. I'm going to place them into my pocket just like so. Okay? Just like so. Do you know how to snap your fingers? No, there wasn't a Simon Says moment. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to wave your hand over the top of mine. Say the magic words. Hocus pocus.
Hocus pocus.
You're not waving your hand anymore, you start.
Chicken bones choke us.
Now snap your finger. See, that changes it to the middle to the beginning and the end. Of course, where we once had the beginning and the end, we now have the middle. A nice round of applause for my assistant Hayden. You can go ahead, we're done now. I kind of like to share a story with you all, if you don't mind. It's a story that I like to share because, well, because of magic, I've always been kind of young at heart. I always kind of have to. It's almost like a children's world because of the wonderment that you experience in magic, and because of the liking to feel like a child. I've always liked bedtime stories. Yeah, but at my age, they get to be a little bit boring. Yeah, because I've heard them all so many times. So I decided to kind of rewrite one of them, and I'd like to share it with you now. Of course, to do that, I need my glasses. This, my friends, is the story of Rendersella. Yes. See, tons upon a wine. In a corn country there lived a Pransome Hince. And there was also a beautiful girl. Her name was Rendersella. Now, Rendersella, she lived with her mugly other and her 2 head blisters. And they made Rendersella a week the clendos, flub the scores, and just do all the wordy-dirt. And then one day, this Pransome Hince, well, he was going to have a bancy fall at the Paints Palace. So he invited people from miles around, especially all the pitch people. But when the night of the bancy fall arrived, why, Rendersella, she couldn't go, because all she had to wear were some old ruddy dags. So she just crat down and sighed. So while she was a-critting there, sighing, all at once there appeared her Gary Mudfather. And he touched her with his wagic band in a pig smuff of boke. Well, she was wearing a designer gown by Bob Mackie, later worn by the First Lady, Michelle Obama, at the... okay, sorry, I made that up. Let's see. Where are we? A kickboach with Hicks White's horses. Yeah. Then her Gary Mudfather warned Rendersella, go to the Bancy Fall, but be back before the mid-clock strikes night or I'll turn you into a dumpkin. Sure. Well, Rendersella rode off to the Bancy Fall, where she was met by the Pransome Hince. Yeah, he saw her coming through the wooden window, and he said to himself, my, this is the most beautiful burl I ever eyed eyes on. And they danced all night. And eventually they lell and fove. Hey, because it's a Terry fail. They always lell and fove and Terry fails. Just then the mid-clock struck night, and Rendersella staced down the rares, and just before she beached the Roddam, she slopped her dribber. The next day, the Pransome Hince, he went all over the corn country looking for a foot to fit the slaskipper. Finally, he got to Rendersella's house, and he tried it on the ugly other, and it fit and did. Then he tried it on the 2 sisty ugglers, and it fit and did. Then he tried it on Rendersella, and it fit and did. Exactly the sight rise. So Rendersella and the Pransome Hince, they mocked Gary and lived heavily after fatward. Now for the story of the Maury. If you ever find yourself going to a Bancy Fall to meet a Pransome Hince, hoping to lull and fub, well, before you leave at midnight, don't forget to slop your dripper. Just a little story I thought I'd share with you all. Now, to finish my show, I'd like to share with you something that's near and dear to my heart.
Are you going to be a volunteer?
This is the oldest illusion known in all of In fact, it's so old, have you ever heard that question? What came first, the chicken or the egg? This illusion is so old, it came before the chicken. And I can prove it. You see, it's over 5,000 years old. It dates back to almost 3,500 BC. BC. BC, before chicken? No, seriously, it actually is about 5,000 years old, where it can be found in hieroglyphics in an Egyptian tomb. A guy who was known as Beni Hassan. Now, just who was Beni Hassan, I have no idea. I'm just kind of hoping you enjoy the illusion as much as he did. I will tell you that Harry Houdini once stated that nobody should ever call himself a magician unless they can perform this illusion. So I perform it in all of my shows, just so that hopefully when you remember this moment in time, you'll be able to say that you were entertained by a magician. And hopefully it doesn't make you cry. And with that being said, I will tell you that I do perform this illusion to a very ancient seafaring tale, a tale of three sailors. With that being said, here we go. Rub-a-dub-dub. 3 men and 3 tubs went sailing out to sea. The first in tub 1, the second in 2, the third man in tub number 3. Now this tub was old, but its captain was bold. You see, he was raring to go. So he jumped on the deck, but fell through the old wreck and landed here, down below. Now, the second old goat got on the same boat, and then things started to happen. He tripped on a pole, fell through the same hole, and landed on top of the captain. Now, man number 3, it was easy to see, was puzzled beyond comprehension. Yeah, he is. So what did he do? Why? He followed right through. What was said? I dare not mention. Now, man number 1 was clearly not done, for a clever idea had he. The plan he had gotten was to come from the bottom. But he landed in tub number 3.
That's a big man.
So he decided at last to climb over the mast. And he scrambled his way to the top. He was doing quite well, until he slipped, and he fell, and he landed down here with a plop. And so with a sigh, he decided to try his luck in tub number 1. But just as before, he fell through the floor, right back to where he started from. So he stayed just for fun in tub number 1, the second in tub number 2, the third jumped in 3. And they hollered with glee, as the 3 of them all fell through. Until finally, man number 1 declared, that's it, I'm done. And he headed off straight for the shore. But before night had fallen, why, the sea came a-calling, and he boarded that vessel once more. Then man number 2 uttered, no more, I'm through. And he disembarked right on the spot. But he wasn't gone long, for he knew he was wrong, and he'd scurried his way back to the yacht. Poor number 3 mumbled, oh, woe is me. I've been left all alone on this ship. So he too departed, but was back where he started before they sailed off on their trip. So to end this illusion, I say, in conclusion, if you're thinking of sailing the sea, well then, rub-a-dub-dub. Make sure that your tub is all that it's quacked up to be. Thank you very much. And that concludes my show. Is it your birthday? Whose birthday? It's your birthday? Could you come, Spencer? Could you come on up here again, Spencer? This balloon, the string of this balloon kind of represents my show. It's like a period of time It's a period in time where some people laughed. Some people clapped. Some people cheered. Some people did not, and I know who you are. But hopefully the important thing is that everybody had a good time. And like I said, these little pieces of string, they represent this moment of time. Intertwined as one. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed. Again,